Today, we're looking at Noodler's Socrates, or Socrates, as some people would say. And I'm going with the Socrates version, though. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Noodler's Socrates is a purple ink. And to make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I put the ink into a different pen for a day. I then put it into a Fountain Pen Revolution Himalaya with their flex nib to take my notes for this video. Now, before we go to the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. Up first is the chromatography. And I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And this is a very interesting chromatography because it's not a line that stayed, it's the outline of the line of ink that stayed, and the rest pushed its way up. That outline shows us that we do expect there to be some resistance, which the one on the right I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water, and it did not budge at all. Can you say permanent? It's called Socrates. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more important, how hard it might be to clean from your pens. I let the smear dry for 3 days. 3. Didn't need it, but 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, it laughed at the highlighter. It didn't move at all. It is a perfect ink for a note taker when you use finer pens. Water, it laughed at water. Didn't budge, didn't move. It kicked the water off the paper. Dropped it on its face outside the nightclub. Pen flush? Ha! Pen flush did nothing at all. Nothing. 1/3 bleach solution, it doesn't even know how to spell 1/3 bleach solution. Knocked it entirely off. It did nothing. None of these things did anything to this ink. Nothing. This is absolutely amazing how resistant this ink is. Now, it does tell me that you have to really watch out. Don't go throw this in your expensive pens right away. Try it out in an inexpensive pen just to make sure about any kind of staining, and there was a tiny bit of staining on my inexpensive converter with the Jinhao pens. But it's also an inexpensive converter. I couldn't honestly tell you if there's a difference between expensive and inexpensive converters. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5, with a realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Noodler's Socrates has a viscosity of 1.58, making it a very wet ink. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done with the extra fine and medium nib on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Noodler's Socrates has an average dry time of 6 seconds, making it feel instantaneously dry. Because that's fast. Now, let's look at the writing sample. I picked this ink up in sample form. Now, there's not a lot left of it. I've actually used up a whole lot of it, which is surprising because of what I think about how the ink tends to perform. And I'm going to start by saying I feel like I must be in a foul mood these days recording these, because I think I've got a couple in a row where I've just been very unhappy with an ink. To keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Yes, let's take a look at the Clairefontaine. We get, look, bleeding. That's my beard rubbing on the mic. Let me move the mic. Good Lord. Try that out. We get bleed spots on Clairefontaine. I don't know that I've seen bleed spots occur on Clairefontaine, but we've got it. And we've got some minor ghosting. I'm going to keep this pencil at the ready. The 1.1 has no spread. It's got minor feathering. Minor feathering in a whole bunch of spots on Clairefontaine. So it's got no spread, it's got feathering, no halo, no sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is the exact same tone as the 1.1.
It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. 3 seconds to dry. The medium has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. 4 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it, and we didn't get it. And the smear test, you could definitely recover this if you smeared while you were writing. Tomoe River. No bleeding. Of course, we have ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the same exact tone as the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. 8 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the 1.1 with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. The microphone feels weird where it's at. I am now fighting it. Do I get to clip it to my beard? Let's try that. See how that's... Hey, that actually sounds pretty good. I might wind up clipping it to my beard in the future. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 12 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we didn't get any. In the smear test, you could not recover if you smeared while you were writing. Man, my voice is super dark here. Feel like I should be doing some announcer voice things. Perhaps do some ASMR. This makes my voice super, super, super deep. Okay, rhodia. Okay, so look, rhodia. Bleed spots. I'm getting spots of bleed on rhodia paper. Not a ton of spots. It's not like it's touching the page underneath, but I'm getting bleed. I have some minor ghosting, very minor ghosting, but it is there. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the exact same tone as the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. 3 seconds to dry. Super fast drying ink is a very aggressive ink. The medium is the exact same tone as the extra fine and the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. 5 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it, and we didn't get it. And the smear test, you could recover this if you smeared while you were writing. So I tried picking out some papers that handle more aggressive inks pretty well. Now, Northbooks is not one of my favorite papers, but it often does pretty decent. We get a lot of show through, and we're getting bleed spots. It's not touching the page underneath. It is not rendering the back of the page unusable. The ghosting is. There's a lot of ghosting. I would not use the back of the page. Other people may. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. It makes me wonder what went on with that Clairefontaine that I was getting that feathering, but I'm not getting it anywhere else. The extra fine is the exact same tone as the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 1 second to dry. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the 1.1 with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. The scrubby of the, 1 second to dry. The scrubby of the extra fine and the medium show no color variation. We didn't expect it, we didn't get it. And the smear test, you can't even really smear it. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 smear, and the medium barely moved. Fabriano, I went to this paper because it is really good at taming inks. And even the Fabriano struggled to tame this ink. Super aggressive. So we get bleed spots. We have quite a bit of ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. 1 second to dry. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the 1.1. The medium has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. 2 seconds to dry. The scrubby of both the extra fine and the medium show no color variation. We didn't expect it, we didn't get it. In the smear test, yes, you could definitely recover this if you smeared while you were writing. Apica paper. We got you under control. Now there's a little bit of bleed spots that come through on the scrubby, but that's only where I'm putting it on stupid thick. Other than that, we get no bleeding and no ghosting. Thank you, Apica. You came, finally, there's one that's really coming through well. Yes, rhodia did not bleed through, but nothing really tends to bleed through rhodia. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. The medium, 2 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 5 seconds to dry. The scrubby of the extra fine and the medium have no color variation. We didn't expect it. We didn't get it. And a smear test, without a doubt, you could recover this if you smeared while you were writing. And that is all that I have for this most dreadful writing sample.
Instead of finding inks that look like Noodler's Socrates, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I wanted a very nice brown. One of my favorite browns are sepias. I went towards that. This isn't one of my favorite sepias, but it is a nice brown. It is Private Reserve's Sepia. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Noodler's Socrates? I think the permanence that this ink brings to the table is amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's there and it's not moving. And if permanent is what you need, this ink is great. It works very well with drier pens to avoid bleeding through. But if you use it in a very wet, broad pen, you're putting a lot of ink down. And with such an aggressive ink, you can get some bleeding situations that occur. So I recommend using finer and drier pens, even a medium dry, but a dry pen, you get great performance and great permanence. And a nice, nice purple. Thanks for watching.